We are 22S Radio. 22S Radio is 22smedia.com and 88.1 FM KKJZ HD3 Long Beach, Los Angeles.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, and now our World Broadcasting Tag Team Champions of the World and a Cruiserweight Champion.
I'm Ethan.
I'm James.
I'm Rob.
And this is episode 113 of Beyond the Ropes. We are BTR Pro Wrestling Talk, a show where we discuss all things professional wrestling. We give reviews, we give predictions, we talk about storylines, and everything in between. Unfortunately, we do have to start this episode with some unfortunate news. This past Sunday, former WWE superstar Shad Gaspard and his family were at Venice Beach, where he and his son were in the ocean. During that time, a huge tidal wave or current took them, and lifeguards did try to make the effort to save both of them. Unfortunately for Gaspard, they were unable to save him, and he was lost at sea for about a day and a half, almost 2 days. And they did find his body early Tuesday morning around 1 a.m. and they did confirm it was him. In his last moments, he did urge the lifeguard to save his son's life over his, and he went out a hero. And many current and past wrestlers were talking about how great of a human being he was. And I know even a website, a Collar and Elbow, which is a pro wrestling or kind of a sports-based T-shirt kind of business, made a shirt and remembering him. All proceeds do go to his family. So I know everyone was supporting that. So very unfortunate news to start off the week.
Yeah, very unfortunate. It is times like these that help us all remember, that nothing is promised, but also that the wrestling community and the wrestling industry in itself, no matter what organization, whether it's WWE, AEW, and etc., for moments like this, they all become one and kind of join in with positive thoughts, prayers, and everything else for families and those that they've worked with over the years. And a lot of people will remember Shad for his time with JTG. They were both members of Crime Time. They were the tag team. Can't remember them being heels at any point, so they were always putting smiles on people's faces, as far as I always remember. Always a good time when they came out. They almost kind of remind me a little bit of Enzo and Cass, just based on the big guy, small guy, and then the comedy and stuff. So always some good thoughts whenever they came down to the ring. As we've talked about before on the show, I started doing the SmackDown versus Raw, whatever, 2008 or 7 game, and you do a little draft for the GM mode, and two of the guys I got were JTG and Chad. So, Chad was just on my mind not that long ago, and thinking about how he was doing and whatnot. So it's only a few days after that we did get this news. Again, heroic effort, or just kind of speaks to the man that he was, putting his son before himself, obviously, as I would like to think many people would. A lot of people did speak out, like you said. Vince McMahon had tweeted something. Obviously, Stephanie did. I believe Triple H did. Then you had guys like Lance Storm who shared a memory or two about him and their time in OVW together. I think Lance was a trainer at that time. So yeah, and the one thing that sticks out to me was a video, as I told you before, Ethan, that was going around on Twitter of the recently returned MVP, who, there was a video of MVP and Chad, and they were watching the Kofi Kingston match, WrestleMania 2 years ago now, I guess, or last year. Yeah, two years ago, I guess. Of Kofi winning the championship, and seeing the tears and the emotion from those guys who are no longer with the company, had their own run in WWE, and we're happy to see another African American become champion, because it is far and few between when we do have an African American reach the top of the industry in that regard. So despite the run that those guys had, and I'm sure they wished maybe a little bit better for themselves, and the emotions spoke volumes. They said very little in that video, but the way they hugged each other, embraced each other in a room full of other people, and I don't know who else was in the room or in that video, that bar, that party. But the only two that mattered in that moment were those two, obviously. That's something that'll stick with me, and I think it says a lot about them and what it meant to kind of help pave the way for future African Americans in the wrestling industry, more importantly in WWE, just because there have been so few African American champions. You could probably name them on one hand. So again, very unfortunate. Ethan, I haven't seen or heard anything from JTG. Obviously, those two will be connected for the rest of their career or lives, I guess, when it comes to wrestling. So didn't see anything. Meant to look for something and see if JTG even had a Twitter, but I didn't come across anything. So I don't know if you saw anything.
Yes, he did tweet out something, I believe, the morning of. I don't remember exactly what he said, but I know after he had found out about Shad's passing on Tuesday, he did share a TikTok video that they recorded last week, I believe. It was their last video together. And, it always showed them having fun. And that's something that they did, especially in WWE. I know they wrestled outside of WWE as well as, independence and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Pictures floating around of, them carrying some tag team gold in the independent circuit for a while. And they were always hanging out. I believe they were actually both at the Wally Mania.
Yeah.
The Kofi's,
Mm-hmm.
big.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
So they were both there for that. I know Kofi himself shared that, I believe, video of them kind of celebrating prior to the WrestleMania events. It's tragic what happened, and we do send our condolences out to Shad's family and friends. It seemed like a lot of people were affected by that. I know there is like a candlelight kind of vigil area in Venice Beach with his photo and a bunch of candles there, and several wrestlers like Mickey James, Chris Masters, John Morrison, Taya Valkyrie have been at the beach, kind of giving their best to their friends. So very unfortunate news. Some other news that we do have to talk about that happened last week was a new free agent in the world of sports entertainment. So last Friday was the start, and by last Friday, I believe it was the 15th. Yeah, the 15th of SmackDown. The Intercontinental Championship tournament had just begun. Daniel Bryan took on Drew Gulak, and Bryan ended up winning that contest. After the match, they kind of shook hands and kind of embraced each other with a hug. And at that time, you just would think, oh, well, it's sportsmanship. They've been kind of a team over the last couple of months, nothing serious. Well, we woke up Saturday morning to see that Drew Gulak's profile had been moved to the alumni section of the WWE.com, and it was later revealed that his contract had expired. Initial reports stated that he was released, but that was not true. His contract did expire. They were in the middle of negotiations to discuss, potentially re-signing him. I believe money was kind of the main reason why he did not sign. Currently, WWE is not giving any raises to anyone who, they don't really need to, because obviously during these times it's kind of tough to be just throwing out money at different people. But hopefully we'll get to see Drew Gulak in some type of ring very soon. Since his contract did expire, he does not have a 90-day no-compete clause. He can show up in any promotion pretty much now if he wanted to. And we did get also news that, things weren't sour with WWE, that he could end up re-signing anytime. So it's just kind of a day-by-day situation.
Yeah, I think you have to add Drew Gulak, at least for now, to the wait and see pile because, again, when we first did hear the news, we thought maybe he did get released or something along those lines. I saw the handshake too, and you expect nothing more than a great match when you have Gulak and Daniel Bryan in the ring. Of course, their storyline. I thought that was a lot of what was going on there, was just continuing that storyline. But we found out later the news, like you said, the contract did expire. Of course, they're not going to be looking to add any more money to a contract, let alone maybe add or re-sign or bring back a contract at any point. I mean, they're not really bringing anybody in at this point. Unless they're already under contract. So we'll see. I mean, it's you just gotta wait and see. At first, I'm thinking maybe he decided to wait. They allowed him to finish out the contract or something then before releasing him, but just sounds like it ran out. And of course, just with everything going on and trying to get people in and out and to put a show together, there probably isn't a whole lot of time to really talk about that kind of stuff and do negotiations correctly or properly. That's fair to both sides. So, you can see where maybe they put it off for a little bit. Who knows? We'll see. I don't know what happens next. I'm sure he has to have relationships with some of the guys, friendship with some of the guys there at AEW. I'm sure that's a strong possibility as well. So we'll see. We'll see what happens to him. He's a good wrestler. It looked like they were, kind of doing something with him at the time. There's a lot of speculation that with a new baby on the way for Bree and Brian, that we might start seeing Drew Gulak as that new Daniel Bryan, kind of taking over that spot maybe. I think even having maybe someone like Daniel Bryan win the Intercontinental Championship tournament, having that title, do a little run or something, and then maybe pass it off to Gulak before deciding to go back home to be with the baby and with the family. But obviously that's not the case, at least for now. We'll see what happens. Again, you got to wish him all the best and see where he lands. I'm sure he'll end up somewhere. He's going to be one of the top guys that can move really quickly off the board here. So,
For sure. Rob, how are we doing on time? We good, Mr. Timekeeper?
5 minutes.
5 minutes still?
5 minutes.
Yeah.
That gives me enough time to transition, since we want to talk about contracts, about young Drake Maverick and what the heck is going on with that storyline. Because, we talk about Drew Gulak and his contract expiring. We thought, you see Rusev go, you see Zack Ryder go. These guys have changed their names, and I know at least Zack Ryder's changed his handle on Twitter. EC3's kind of done some of the same stuff, changed his whole gimmick around on Twitter, but not Drake Maverick. Drake Maverick, since being released, has almost gotten a push, if anything else, being in this tournament. I did see him during NXT in the semifinal match, only to find out he wins against who I thought was supposed to be one of the favorites and could still be a favorite, because now with the records of 3 of those guys in the competition, including Maverick, they're going to have another match. So we get to see another Drake Maverick match for a guy who has been released of his contract officially, going to have another match, and it's not even the finals. And he could still be in the finals, and he could still win the belt. And then was it all a work? I mean, the guy was wearing a WWE shirt, had the waterworks going, and I'm not making fun of him, but I mean, was it a work from the beginning, or are they just building on the situation, I guess you can say? I don't know what you call a furlough release in WWE anymore, but I think if I don't know, someone has some explaining to do, because the way releases going forward will be treated will be kind of looked on a lot differently. Everything. I mean, the pandemic thing is weird as it is, but just releases and stuff going forward, how are you not going to know or think, well, is this going to work, or is there a reason for this? I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. Jake Atlas, Kushida, and Drake Maverick will be facing each other on the 27th of for the final spot in this Cruiserweight Championship tournament, to face El Hijo del Fantasma, who has qualified to the finals. So it should be a fun match. Drake Maverick has, without a doubt, built his stock over the last month or so since he's been released. So,
and they wouldn't be building him up if they weren't going to do like you're bringing him back at this point, no matter what you do, because it's part of wrestling unwritten rules or whatever, that let alone the fact that they would even bother to push you on your way out, but they want you to put whoever they are going to have for their future on the rise. So they're going to want to, kind of wipe you down a little bit and kind of have you looking bad on the way out. So whoever gets you, the last thing that they remember was you taking it out. So I don't know what's going on with Drake Maverick here, but I'm going to call it now, and he's going to win the whole tournament.
I don't think so, but all right.
We'll you think he's going to come up short after making it this far?
They make the finals, but he'll probably lose. I don't know. Well, it's a wait and see. Depends if he's actually rehired or not.
The man has to be.
You would think, but who knows? Rob? No. We good? 2 minutes still? Like, these minutes are lasting longer and longer, it feels like. This is what we get on Zoom calls. I'm not keeping track of time, so I don't know how it's going. But
we do have 2 Dark Side of the Rings to talk about whenever we get to those. I'm just going to let you know.
Is that going to make it on the air? Nope, not.
That the Owen Hart one was very sad. It was crazy.
It was unfortunate. And we can perhaps talk about it if we have time later on in the show. So some things that we will discuss. We have a bit of a raw recap. We're not going to recap the entire episode, but we'll talk about the highlights and main storylines for sure. We're going to talk about the Undertaker Last Ride documentary. Have you guys checked that out?
I have not, on purpose, because I've wanted to binge watch it.
Sir, that's like a 7-hour, gonna be a 7-hour like episode or watch. So.
Yeah, that's fine. It's the Undertaker. What do you? I'm not a big fan of being like wait a week and
yeah.
I haven't watched the Jordan one either. So
you've been spoiled by streaming services giving you everything at once. It is.
But I mean, what else am I supposed to do?
We do have a discussion question that we will discuss at the end of the episode. Book the specific Survivor Series match that we'll talk about later on that WWE on Fox tweeted out a few days ago, and I thought it'd be a nice little discussion, kind of fantasy booking, because we've done a little fantasy booking in the past, and it'd be nice to bring it back for at least one episode here.
Yes.
So, Rob, we're going to sign off for this commercial, and when we return, we're going to go do all that, talk about all that. We might discuss a little Dark Side of the Ring, my complaints on everything, because they did have a season finale, so I've got some issues with it. But we'll talk about that and much more right here on Beyond the Ropes.
I need water.
Yeah. You have like a bottle in front of you.
It's holding my phone up.
All right. Are we good? Come on, Rob. Oh my God. All right. Are we good?
Yeah.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Radio, 22West Radio is 22westmedia.com and 88.1 FM KKJZ HD3 Long Beach, Los Angeles. Rob, what's so funny? I don't know. You're laughing over there in the 22West radio studio, or that makeshift studio you're at.
The wonders of green screen.
Yeah, that green screen.
I heard the Mexicals.
They're not here. There's no gardeners here, Rob. There's no.
I heard that sound right now.
I did hear it too, but it was like in a distance. It wasn't close. So yes, we are following the stay-at-home order that's still going on here in Southern California. I think, right? Is it still going on? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. We're like in between.
We're like, some people are being out, some people are staying in, some people are doing their own thing. Rob just left the station over there. He just had enough.
He went to go check and see if the order got lifted.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He thought he might have missed something. I don't know.
Yeah. So, anyways, let's talk a little bit about Raw, shall we?
Yes, we should.
It's kicked off with Edge and Randy Orton. That's
Oh
right.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Last week, Edge was. Why are you nodding your head, sir?
Because I don't already like what they're calling this. The greatest match ever.
It is going to be the greatest match ever.
No.
I'm bored with this.
No.
Yes. Okay. So, Randy Orton, or 2 weeks ago, by the time this airs, challenged Edge to a one-on-one, straight-up wrestling match at Backlash, which is happening in a couple of weeks from now. And it ended in a cliffhanger. So, in last week's episode of Monday Night Raw, he kind of went back and forth with Edge. These two have been killing it with the promos and these empty building shows for sure. And he finally agreed to it. So we're going to see Edge versus Randy Orton in a straight-up wrestling match at Backlash. And it is being dubbed the greatest wrestling match ever, which I'm 100% for it. I shared that image on my Instagram stories, which, by the way, you can follow me on Ethan Envy. It is a private account, but I'll probably accept you. James is respectfully raising his hand, waiting patiently, but I'm going to ignore it because I'm not done talking about how this could be the greatest wrestling match of all time. Go ahead, James.
Is there a time limit?
In this match? This
Yes.
is not. I don't believe so.
They need a time limit.
No, they need to go like 2 hours. I think they could do it.
I mean, I love them both. I think they're great in the ring. But do we need 2-hour match?
We're not gonna get a 2-hour match.
Or 45. We don't need 45 minutes either.
They might deliver a 45-minute match.
If it's good, I'm all for it. And I didn't mind the other one, but I know a lot of other people didn't.
A lot of people didn't like it for whatever reason. They thought it was kind of slow, but I enjoyed it because it felt hard-hitting. It was violent, felt real.
I thought it was good to have Edge back. So this is only going to be Edge's second match back then, right?
Technically his third. He was at the Rumble, but his second singles match, yeah.
I think you might have even mentioned it, Ethan, if I'm not mistaken, that Austin Theory was probably going to go back to NXT.
Yeah.
Because, if things weren't working out or they kind of had
I think he was just
what is it? Cien Almas? I'm blanking. Why am I blanking on names today? Now that Almas is back, they thought maybe Theory would go back because he was just kind of a replacement to begin with. And so not only do they not move him to NXT, but they put him right in the mix with with Seth and them. But now tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't know how Buddy felt about it. I mean, Buddy looked like he was okay with it.
No.
What?
You dare put that in the air. I know a lot of people were saying that.
He didn't look.
No, he was accepting.
No, he was, but he looked kind of.
Don't you dare say that. They need to be together.
He almost looked a little jealous. Is all I'm gonna say.
Maybe a little bit, but you know what?
I mean, don't get me wrong. He just had a match, and yada yada. So
he's got to stick around in that group.
Oh, for sure.
No,
I mean he can't be mad, but
no. Speaking of a team that teased an end, the Iconics, they lost.
Oh my God, my heart.
And after the match, after getting disqualified, because Peyton Royce got a little ahead of herself, backstage, Billie Kay slapped the taste out of Peyton Royce. They did hug and, kind of made up a little bit, but I don't like that they were teasing dissension there. I don't like that. A lot of people were.
I thought it was kind of weird just because it was so quick. I mean, this is only their second week back.
Yeah.
Second or third week back, but you know what I mean? It's just like, have them come back separate if you didn't want them together, but
they need to be together because they're gold.
Right. And two, if they did have a storyline together where they were against each other, I almost feel like then at that point, neither one of them could be funny.
No,
And to me, they have to be funny. Like, they're funny. So it's like, why would they not be funny? So you got to keep them together.
they need to stay together for sure.
They're
Rob,
great.
any thoughts on what we've been discussing?
I haven't seen it in a while.
How was the ice cream sandwich? That's what I want to know. And why didn't you get a WWE?
Oh, that
uh,
was pretty cool. I haven't had one of those in a long time of a WWE one.
From what I heard, they're not the same. They have it's like a cookie, or it's not even like
Yeah, cookie and then chocolate or something.
something different. But I hear they're okay. I mean, it's like a cookie sandwich, whatever, ice cream sandwich.
Yeah.
They
I
should
was
have
never-
brought them back when Punk did that whole promo.
Punk did try one in backstage the other week. He did try those.
You tried it like you never had one before?
The new ones, the ones that they have.
Wait,
Oh, they're literally new. Like, they're not.
Right. They're not.
Oh,
Yeah, like the actual ice cream bars that they're currently selling in grocery stores.
grocery stores. Where?
I don't know, but people they found them. So
I was gonna say the next time we're all together, I'll get you some, but I don't know when we'll ever all be together again.
soon,
Dude.
I predict next month is potential. I don't
Hopefully by WrestleMania, huh?
know. Most definitely, because I'm trying to go to WrestleMania. Because
At the very least.
cannot stop me from going to WrestleMania. No.
Oh yeah, that's where I draw the line, to be honest.
That's it. The cutoff point is this year, and that's.
I agree.
This year's kind of already done. It's kind of ruined. So.
But and then too, so going back to like possible, with the women's division storylines. I know we're kind of on Raw right now, but just jumping to NXT to SmackDown. Asuka's in the ring celebrating, and then Nia Jax has her way with who is that? Shirai, or I get them confused all the time.
Kairi Sanes.
Kairi Sane. She's on the way out. I thought that was gonna be the end of her right there.
I don't think she is on the way out. I could be wrong. Maybe she.
But
Was,
I thought that was the whole. I thought that was the whole reason for everything that happened.
No. So, you mentioned Io Shirai, who is on NXT. We're not talking about NXT. We were talking about Asuka.
I get them confused.
Sure. So we're talking about Asuka, who absolutely destroyed Nia Jax on this past week's Raw. They were still doing a championship celebration. Asuka and Kairi Sane were.
Oh, that was on Raw. I don't know why I said SmackDown. SmackDown today. What am I talking about?
It'll already have happened. By the way, Bayley, I can confirm, did defeat Charlotte Flair. She got a victory.
Wow.
Oh, that's crazy.
Clean? Was it clean?
I think they said she snuck a victory, so it could have been maybe a distraction or something. I don't know. But good for Bayley because her stock's rising here. Going back to Kairi and Asuka, they were celebrating. Nia Jax interrupts, and then Kairi kind of distracts her. Asuka takes advantage, kicks her out of the ring. Later in that night, Jax attacks Kairi while she's alone. Then Asuka goes looking for Jax, and Jax ends up getting attacked by Asuka. She gets her ponytails pulled, and a kick, and Asuka just left her laying all night, just multiple assaults, which is hilarious. And Asuka's been great, so I love that.
I'm still waiting for Asuka to turn on her at some point. I thought it was gonna happen, but we'll see.
No. They gotta stay together too. Everyone just can we all just be friends? Like I don't know.
Well, you want to know who's going to be friends, and we might have to talk about this in the next segment. It appears to be Bobby Lashley and MVP, and Lana is none too pleased about any of it.
Lana's got to go.
I think Bobby's thinking the same thing because MVP is putting a bug in his ear. So I don't know. They need to get whatever stable they're going to do with MVP. It seems like it might be happening here. So
I don't know if a stable's happening or if he's just managing Lashley because they have Ricochet and Cedric weren't even on Raw this past week.
Right.
We are getting Lashley versus Drew McIntyre at Backlash for the WWE Championship. That's already been confirmed.
That's right. That is confirmed.
So it's nice to see Lashley finally getting a push, a much needed push since he's re-signed 2-3 years ago already.
Yeah. But do you see how easy it is for them to build someone back into the title picture? Like,
Yeah.
why do they struggle sometimes? But then 1, 2, 3, it was very, I don't want to say there was a formula there, but it was very like, we're going to do this. And it was planned out and it was thought out, obviously. And like, what happens?
Depends who Vince likes that week. Honestly.
That's true.
If he's into them, then they'll find a way to get him in there. And Lashley's, I mean, he's been slowing a build a bit. So, yeah, and I don't know what they're going to do with Lana. All she's been doing the last couple of weeks has been screaming.
Yeah.
Very annoying because it's very unnecessary, and her scream is very annoying. I don't know what they're going to do with that. She might cost Lashley the WWE title, actually, now that I think about it. That could be a potential thing. But it's a wait and see. But Drew McIntyre has been built up strong. He's kicking out at 1 for a number of pins, by the way. He did defeat King Corbin, in a stellar match they had this past week on Raw, which is awesome. And I do believe that we do have to hit a commercial break. We are BT. Why did I say we are BTR?
Because you're confused.
All right.
Action.
End it and start over. I'm kidding. We are 22S Radio. 22S Radio is 22smedia.com and 88.1 FM, KKJZ, HD3, Long Beach, Los Angeles. And you can follow Beyond the Ropes on Twitter at RealBTR Radio. You can follow me on Twitter at EthanNV95. It is on my Zoom little thing. I don't know if anyone can see it, but it's EthanNV95. You can follow James at
JHW Reporter on Instagram and on Twitter.
And you can follow Rob at
Rob Flores Media.
Give us a like on Facebook, facebook.com/Beyond the Ropes, where we post videos, predictions. I know Rob has the latest 2 episodes uploaded there, so hopefully he'll get this one uploaded very, very soon as well. We are also on YouTube. Just search up Beyond the Ropes. And we are on 22S Radio. That's 22smedia.com on Mondays at 6 p.m. All right, so we got through all that. Let's do this fantasy booking discussion for a second. Why not? Do this first. So, WWE on Fox sent out a tweet on who would win the Survivor Series match between these 2 teams, Team A and Team B. Team A features John Cena, Seth Rollins, Steve Austin, unquote Steve Austin, that is, Triple H, and Daniel Bryan. That is Team A. Their opponents would be Team B, Randy Orton, Roman Reigns, The Rock, Shawn Michaels, and AJ Styles. Which one of you guys wants to go first here?
I will go first.
Okay. So, by the way, you're going to give the order of eliminations and who eliminates who.
Yes.
And the sole survivor or sole survivors.
Yes, that is correct. So I'm going to go in order of, it's just going to be who defeated who, and I may go into why or how or whatever. Sure. Some were, obvious compared to others. Okay, so first off, you kind of look and see it to the 2 teams and who have some sort of alliance or bond together. And I'm looking at Triple H and Seth right off the bat, 2 guys who did have a bond together, knocking out Roman Reigns. Because, I mean, if you look at there's quite a few people who could have, when I didn't want to make it like only Roman Reigns can get taken out by Austin, Rock, etc., or whoever's on his team, whoever's not on his team. So decided to have 2 guys take Roman out. Got to keep him strong. Got to keep Vince happy. Then I just had RKO go ahead and take out Cena, just to get another surprise in there. Take out 2 of the guys that a lot of people think, oh, well, you got to put Cena over or whatever. Get them out of the way early. And, of course, you have some top heels in Seth and Triple H, and then a guy like RKO on the other end to kind of make things messy early. Don't want to forget that Stone Cold is in the match, so he's going to go ahead and catch RKO by surprise and drop a stunner. Usually you'll have Randy Orton doing some of the shenanigans and catching people off guard. In this case, it will be Stone Cold. How am I doing so far? Good.
Randy?
Good. So I have 3 people eliminated so far.
Wait, who? And Austin and Randy.
I had Roman. So here's who's eliminated. Roman is eliminated. Cena is eliminated. And then Randy gets eliminated. Okay? And then, obviously there's a bunch of back and forth, yada, yada, yada. It's a Survivor Series match. Everyone's going crazy. Then out of nowhere, a lot of out of nowhere finishes in this match. You're going to get a HBK super kick to knock out a younger Shawn Michaels lookalike in Seth Rollins and get rid of Seth. And then I thought about having Triple H maybe go out to his best buddy, Shawn Michaels, but I decided to keep it old school here and have The Rock drop a rock bottom to get rid of Triple H. And then you got some other younger guys still, not younger guys, but some current guys still in the mix. You'll have Daniel Bryan catch AJ Styles off guard and take him out as well. Obviously, a lot of these guys aren't going to drop out clean, so you got to have a lot of off guard and finishes and whatnot. Shawn Michaels will then turn around and knock out his protege, Daniel Bryan, to eliminate D-Bry from the match. That leaves The Rock and HBK on one side and Austin by himself. Austin will go ahead and drop a stunner on HBK, just like old times, get rid of him. And then you will be down to The Rock and Austin. They've had 3 WrestleMania main events together, and 2 of them went in favor of Stone Cold, and this one will be no different. After a back and forth, you will get a stunner in the middle of the ring. Austin will get the win and be the only sole survivor of the match.
Wow. All right. Rob, what are your what's your fantasy booking here?
Oh, that was pretty good. So I booked some story and stuff in it.
Go ahead. That's good.
Yeah. Let's see. So Daniel Bryan and AJ started off.
Like that?
Yeah, they start evenly matched with Shawn, kind of discussion with AJ, while they're standing, at the apron.
Mm-hmm.
Giving him tips, mentoring him while they watch the match. But you can tell that Randy is kind of being obnoxious, kind of judging, because, they're doing the whole shake hands, start off all respectful and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They pull off all the stops, reversing each other's finishers. Pele leads to Orton tagging himself aggressively, smacking AJ in the back of the head. Orton stops Daniel from crawling for the tag. He stomps on him, those ones where he stomps every area for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Does a low blow because the ref is busy arguing with Austin. He spends time working with Daniel's arm, preventing future attempts of the yes lock. After a desperate drop kick to Orton, they crawl to each other's corner. Orton crawls out the ring. The ref's busy looking at Orton, and as Daniel tagged in Rollins, the ref was too busy trying to tell Orton to get in. He didn't witness the tag.
Wow.
So as Daniel slouched outside thinking he's cool and he's no longer the legal man, he gets speared from outside by Reigns. And Orton grins and brings Daniel back in. He gets in, but the ref tells Seth to get back in the ring apron because he never witnessed the tag. Orton drags Daniel, throws him back in the ring, mocks AJ, telling him this is how you take care of an opponent. Daniel is on his knees, and he manages to shove Orton back outside the ring, crawls to officially tag in Seth. The Rock stares at Orton, expressing his disapproval for his lone wolf mentality. Orton, in classic heel fashion, walks to the ramp as if he's saying, forget this match. Seth tries to go to him, and he gets a rake to the eyes for his trouble. He gets Irish whipped to the steps. Where is it? As he tries to isolate Seth, he reverses, gets an RKO. It looks like he's gonna do an RKO. You know how he's doing that taunt on the floor,
Mm-hmm.
and he RKO's what is it? Austin. You know how you do that like stunner while someone's standing on the apron?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he does that to Austin. The tag is made to Cena, who attempts the attitude adjustment but gets another rake to the eyes and a knee clip. As Orton tags in Reigns. Reigns is about to do a spear until he thinks he's gonna, do that spear on Cena, but Triple H ran and did a flying Harley race knee,
Mm-hmm.
resulting in the first elimination. Cena pins Reigns.
Wow. Reigns.
Yeah,
And the crowd goes nuts.
yeah. So that's the first one. Orton exchanges back and forth. He does the whole middle rope DDT on Cena.
Mm-hmm.
Goes for RKO. He gives one to Seth instead, who's down on the ground now. So as he's too busy celebrating that he just knocked down he's being a bully. He knocked out Seth when he should be focused on Cena. Cena does a roll up. There goes the second elimination.
Mm-hmm.
Orton out. Wow. All right.
Yeah. And so Cena went outside to check how's Seth doing. Meanwhile, Rock, HBK, and AJ are the only ones left, and they're like looking at each other, deciding who's going to go up next. Suddenly, out of nowhere, we hear chair shots, and it turns out that Orton came back bitter, and he busted open Austin. So Austin's out of commission. He's been stretchered out for a bit.
But not eliminated, right?
Not eliminated. He's just taken out to the back.
Making the run in? Oh, dear.
Yep, he's a bitter, sore loser. The Rock enters. They do a back and forth. Everybody's cheering Rock and Cena. Last minute, there's a double clothesline, and as Rock's laying down now on his stomach trying to get up, he gets curb stomped. Cena gets the third elimination on the Rock.
Wow.
HBK goes ahead. Now it says HBK and AJ left. HBK goes in. He patiently allows he signals for Cena to go ahead and feel free to tag in Seth. He even two-sweets Triple H as Triple H looks on patiently, seeing what HBK is going to do. He manages in the end to give the sharpshooter to Seth, making him tap out. And then he sweet chins as Triple H is clapping. Seth's confused why Triple H did that. And then there's a sweet chin music to Cena, resulting in that elimination. And then
Reigns, Rock, Orton, and Cena are eliminated, right?
Yeah, so now it's in the end, Seth's pissed. He now he's the bitter loser that comes in with the chair, takes out both Shawn and Triple H. They get double counted outside.
Mm.
So all that's left is Daniel right now and AJ, because everybody doesn't know what's happened to Austin. Mm-hmm. And in the end, Daniel's trying to do a no lock, but his hand gives out on him because his arm has been targeted the whole time in the beginning of the match.
Mm-hmm.
And it was able to get reversed to the calf killer, resulting in Daniel tapping. And so everybody thinks that AJ won until you see a limping, bloodied, dripping, zombie-looking Austin flipping everybody off, coming back to the ring. And he tries to give a good show, but in the end, he taps out to AJ Styles.
Wow. So you had AJ going over strong, standing alone in the ring.
I like that. So
I am shocked.
So James, you had Austin winning this one, being the sole survivor.
I did.
Rob, you had a very detailed and very well thought out story here where AJ ended up winning for Team B.
I'm shocked.
I did not have as detailed story as either of you did. But
okay, that's fine.
But I'll just say my two finalists because I have two sole survivors.
Okay.
We'll go through the entire thing. The Rock and Shawn Michaels end up being the sole survivors here.
Neither one was willing to do the job, huh?
No, two icons. I don't know. I don't remember how I booked this originally, and I didn't take notes, but I'm glad that you guys each contributed quite a bit to, especially on the storytelling aspects. I think that was very cool. Maybe we'll do more of these bookings, and all of us will kind of write our own little storylines for every little match that we do, perhaps. Sir, you wanted to talk about, well, first, before we get into that subject,
Yeah.
NXT TakeOver in Your House is happening. Match confirmed is Charlotte Flair defending her NXT Championship against Io Shirai and Rhea Ripley in a triple threat match. That should be a killer match.
Should be. I think Charlotte's supposed to still win.
No, she's totally losing against Rhea Ripley. I think. I don't know.
Maybe. I think maybe that does change a little bit because Charlotte needs to go back to Raw.
Yeah, she's been on
With Becky out. With Becky out, Charlotte needs to go back to Raw.
She's been on all three shows this week, and it's a bit of overexposure for her personally. Another match confirmed: Karrion Kross will take on Tommaso Ciampa, and that should be a really stellar match. They've been building up Karrion Kross for months now, and he's had 2 matches, and he's absolutely decimated his opponents, and that should be a really good story to tell. Dark Side of the Ring. You want to talk about Owen Hart? Yeah, what do you have to say, James?
Yeah, so at the time this happened, this was like 1999. Owen Hart, there's some situation in which there was more or less equipment failure, and Owen Hart dies, falls 80 feet or more, whatever it was, and lands in the corner of the ring. Nearly takes out Jimmy Corderas along the way and more or less falls to his death. It was tough. I mean, a lot of us kind of knew, and I knew there was going to be more when they start talking about Owen's fall in the middle of the documentary. So we all kind of know what the first part of the documentary was. This wasn't even about Owen's life or anything. It was more or less those final days. What I learned from watching this documentary, let alone was I waiting for this for some time because it is the first time I'm fully aware of. I'm sure there's been 1 or 2 occasions, but Martha Hart and her and their kids, Owen and Martha Hart's kids, were also on camera speaking about their father. Obviously, they're a lot older now. The daughter, Athena, barely even remembers her father, has very little memories because he passed away when she was maybe 3 or 4. We see Oj, who was, I believe, 7 at the time. He's now a lawyer. Athena's studying to become a journalist, or is already a journalist. Just graduated. So it was nice to hear from them finally after so many years. A lot of people wondered, what was going to happen with them going forward after Owen's death. Again, the thing that I found most interesting was after Owen's death, Martha was very open about some of her thoughts, feelings, and just the way things played out. She went into great detail about how she received the call from Vince McMahon. First, not believing it was Vince, thinking it was Owen because Owen has always been known for his ribs and his jokes. And one of the voices he has done on occasion when talking on the phone is a Vince McMahon voice. So that's what Martha thought. And then Vince is like, no, this is really Vince McMahon. Something happened to Owen. He had a fall, and a doctor was going to be calling her soon. Then she goes into detail about how she received the call. The doctor was being very long-winded. She eventually cuts him short and just cuts him off and says, hey, can you just tell me what happened? He goes on to tell her that he tried everything he could, but Owen has passed away. To hear her talk about that was heartbreaking. To hear her then have to go into the room, sit her kids down on the bed, and explain to her young children that their father is not coming home. Then, on top of that, Owen died tragically in the Kemper Arena, which is in Kansas City. it would actually be not long after the funeral that Martha will take the kids to the arena in Kansas City, climb up the catwalk, balcony, the top of the arena where Owen spent the final moments, seconds, minute of his life alive. She went up there and took the kids so they would have an understanding of more or less how their father died, but so that there wouldn't, and so as she said, there would be no ifs, ands, or buts, no question or uncertainty about really what happened. And that's a bold step. I don't know if I could have done, let alone me go up there, but I don't know if I'd have my kids go up there. But the kids are doing, the kids are well, and they seem to be very bright and whatnot. That decision did not impact them emotionally. I'm sure it did, but it wasn't, it ended up working out, I guess you can say. I don't know. I don't know what to say to that because it's just kind of shocking.
We have a minute,
again,
Rob?
A minute.
Oh, yeah.
Again, without giving too much more away, it's very interesting. Martha talks about how she went about identifying the body, more or less, of Owen Hart, seeing him for the first time, when he returns to Calgary in a casket, more or less.
Yeah.
So watch it. It's very good. The whole season was good. There's still plenty of wrestling stories out there to be told. I'm sure we'll get a lot more of them. There's likely to be a season 3 by Vice and the Dark Side of the Ring. So check those out. They're worth checking out. I know we're wrapping up here, but I would say real quick to think, come out of these documentaries learning something and be challenged by them. Think about what's being talked about, but also have an understanding that a lot of these documentaries also heavily involve WWE or time periods in these wrestlers' career, and what happened after that had an impact based on their time in WWE. WWE was not, or I'm assuming did not want to have a viewpoint expressed during this documentary, and so they kind of take a bunch of body punches in this. So just take it for what it is. It is more or less, I want to say, maybe not one-sided. There's different viewpoints, but WWE's view is not one of them. So just take it for what it is.
That was my issue with throughout the series. It was a great series, but it definitely, does not make Vince McMahon especially look in any way decent, and which, he's done obviously a lot of wrong. That's
right.
That's public knowledge, but I would definitely like to see more even sides for sure. We are out of time, so next time we talk to you, hopefully we'll talk about more storylines and such, maybe even get into some more details about other programs, potentially the Undertaker Last Ride documentary. But until next time, thank you for tuning in. This episode of Beyond the Ropes has been too sweet. Stay at home.